Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope you are having a sunny day. Ready for some new drama from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP, who wants to leave all her inheritance to her son, who doesn't work and is basically a loser, and nothing to her other son, who is successful and doesn't need it. Listen to the story, guys, to find out OP's son's reaction, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 66 female, have two children, Benjamin, 36 male, and Jack, 33 male. Jack is in a good place in his life. He has a good job with a senior position in his industry, a long-term fiancé, a wide circle of friends, and whilst they're still renting, they're both currently saving for a house deposit. Benji, on the other hand, despite being the oldest, has not done as well in life. Benji has never had a girlfriend or a boyfriend and has no friends that he visits. He did give university a try, but left both times in his first year due to anxiety. Today he chooses not to work. Benji and I have been living alone together for the last 6 years now, and I support him financially. I know that the situation is not ideal. However, I've long since come to terms with the fact that Benji is a square peg, trying to fit into a world of round holes. And as I'm getting older, I'm happy for his company. It's an arrangement that suits us both. I'm starting to get on in years, and recently my thoughts have turned to my children and what they will do after I'm gone. A few months ago, I decided to update my will and asked Jack for a meeting to address the changes. I let him know that in my updated will, almost all of my assets, both cash and property, will be going to Benji. However, I'll be giving him a cash amount to help with his house deposit, £10,000. My reasoning for this is that I know full well Jack is capable of looking after himself after I'm gone. But without assistance, Benji will always struggle. He is simply never going to have what Jack has. Jack did not take kindly to the news. He said that I'm effectively punishing him for having succeeded in life, where his brother has been allowed to not try and fail his entire life, and is now being rewarded for choosing to remain a NEET so he can suckle on mommy's teat. He said some more unkind things about his brother, and at that stage, I said that it was better that he leave until he could calm himself down. On the way out the door, he told me that this was not about money or assets, but was yet another instance of me favoring and coddling Benji the way I have done his entire life. Not true, and claimed we were in an emotionally incestuous relationship. I told him to get out. This all went down 3 months ago, and since then, Jack will no longer accept my calls. He ignored my 66th birthday outright, not even a card. And at this stage, I'm not expecting to see him at all for Christmas. So it's going to be just me and Benji as usual. Other family members have since become aware of the drama and are telling me that my decision is wrong, and that by doing this, I'm driving a wedge further between Jack and Benji when their relationship is already strained. Am I the a-hole for my decision? I love both my children equally, but I can't go to my grave knowing that Benji will be out on the streets suffering without me. I know that Jack will never have to struggle in the same way Benji has, so I don't know why he even needs the money in the first place. I'm frankly disgusted by his greed and lack of concern for his brother's future. Wow, OP is so in the wrong here. OP is basically awarding the lazy son and punishing the successful son. Their inheritance should be equal. Not only that, but by already supporting him, he's already getting way more. I think OP and Benji are in a codependent relationship, and by sheltering him, OP is depriving him of possibilities to grow as a person. It's OP's fault for the way Benji turned out. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Sonata 12 says, "You're the a-hole. Your relationship does sound emotionally incestuous. You have likely lost Jack, but you don't care, do you? As long as you have Benji." Chilling Demon says, "You're the a-hole. You simply can't treat two of your children so differently and expect it not to cause problems. You casually say that it's not true that you have favored or coddled Benji his entire life. But is it? I wonder. And I suspect there's more than an argument to suggest that you have favored him over Jack over a long period of time. One consideration people should keep in mind, however, is exactly what Benji does whilst living at home. Does he shop for groceries, cook, clean, handle DIY, do the gardening or such? As you grow older and may need more assistance, is Benji capable of being your full-time carer, and would he be willing to act as such? Shoddy Development 49 says, "You're the a-hole. Complete a-hole. You can't give one child more because the other became self-sufficient. You picked a favorite. That's how your son Jack feels. What makes you think Benji will make good choices after you pass, just because you gave him everything?" Me, 38 female, and my ex, 37 male, got divorced about 3 years ago. We have 2 children, 9 male and 4 male, who we share custody of. The divorce was caused by 2 things: me finding him in bed with another woman, and the fact that his reaction upon me kicking her out and getting upset with him was to pick up our nightstand lamp and try to hit me over the head with it. During the divorce, there was a stalking problem I'm not going to get into, and we ended up getting court-mandated counseling when it started clearly affecting our sons. Counseling ended up helping, and after the mandated period was over, he decided to find a therapist closer to his home and set up regular sessions. We spend holidays together so our sons can have their entire family around. So, with Thanksgiving coming up, we all get together and decide to host at my house. While our kids are out getting some quality grandparent time with my parents, me, my brother, ex, and mother-in-law are sitting around and chatting to relax a bit, and the conversation turns from the holiday season to our sons and to our divorce. My mother-in-law mentions that it's nice seeing us still being civil instead of at each other's throats, and ex mentions that talking about it helped. I initially think he's talking about therapy, as I'm sure anyone would, but then he starts talking about it further. According to him, we just don't mesh well together as spouses, and we both grew miserable in the relationship. When he saw it was upsetting our sons, he took it upon himself to start the discussion. After a very long and difficult conversation, we both decided divorce is the best option. He then tells his mother that he was lucky our talk had been peaceful, instead of a mess like online stories. I admittedly wasn't thinking, and mentioned how I wouldn't say cheating on me and then trying to knock me out was peaceful, but that I was glad he had such an optimistic view of it. His mother lost it on him a bit, while me and brother just dipped for a bit. And afterwards, ex pulled me aside to tell me that it wasn't right for me to tell his mom about what happened and air his dirty laundry. That he had apologized and changed, and was still actively trying to get better, and that it hurt to know I was still upset with him over a mistake that happened years ago. My brother said that he understood where I was coming from and agrees with me, but that it was a bit of a jerk move to tell his mom during a holiday instead of simply pulling him aside and talking to him about it, especially since we'd all be under the same roof for a few days. No one told my parents or the kids what happened when they finally got back, but I'm not naive enough to believe they haven't noticed that something had happened. What he did to OP and their family was horrible, and while he can lie about it to his friends all he wants, he cannot expect OP to let it fly when done in front of her. If he didn't want to air out his dirty laundry, he should have avoided the subject rather than lie about it. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Pragya1002 says, "Not the a-hole. Not a ducking chance in this world that you should have to feel a little bit of sympathy for that. He didn't just give 2 craps about marriage while ducking someone in your bed, your home, and had the audacity to have a reaction and physically accost you. Not sure what kind of a father he is, but his family should be aware about his deeds and why this marriage is not working out anymore. It's not about dirty laundry. He made those choices consciously. My husband has never raised his voice at me once, even when I'm wrong. Good relationships are possible. Don't let this stupid, crappy world have you feel otherwise. He just wants to have a perfect picture in his family and friends' eyes, like some men would like to have. Because hiding your crap becomes easier that way. Again, not the a-hole. Please don't feel bad." Prestigious Trouble 48 says, "He actively lied in front of your face to make himself look better. He had 1,000 choices of how to admit fault, and he chose to blatantly lie. He 100% deserves to be called out on his behavior. And I don't think therapy is actually helping if he is lying about where the blame belongs." Carpe Cyprinidae says, "Not the a-hole. Honest conversation requires honest context. Your ex-mother-in-law was silently judging you for the breakup because she didn't know that." I, 31 female, am due to have my first baby in just over 5 weeks' time. My pregnancy was a surprise, and it's been a difficult 8 months thus far. Although low risk, I've experienced every symptom you can imagine, from intense morning sickness to migraines and carpal tunnel syndrome. I've also faced some pretty insane discrimination at work, despite maintaining a high rate of performance throughout the year. All of this to say, it's been a rough year. I've had little support from my family this year, and their nonsense has seemingly known no bounds. Since around May, they've been asking my partner and I to make the 10-hour drive interstate for Christmas so that we could spend it with them. This would be fine, but my doctor has repeatedly told me not to do this, as I'll be 36 weeks at that point and prone to blood clots. Despite this, they've continued to pester my partner and I about it. At one point, they proposed coming to us for Christmas, but then swiftly shut down their own idea when they immediately realized it would be an inconvenience to them. Recently, my dad was diagnosed with some health problems of his own, which he's been told is completely treatable with surgery and some medication. Regardless, I've called every other day to check up on him and see how he's doing. In the last few weeks, my mom has started telling me how awful birth was for her and every other woman on both sides of my family. I kid you not, every time she calls, she encourages me to plan a C-section and drops some new detail about a relative who had a traumatic birth experience. I've told her that her comments are unhelpful, and she's known for months that I don't want a C-section if I can help it. She constantly says things like, "If I had my time again, I'd plan a C-section," as if it's an easier option. I wondered why she started down this path until she started making comments about Dad's treatment plan and appointments, such as, "We might be able to make it out to see you for a few days in January, but Dad might have to go to an appointment on the 18th, and then again on the 31st, and then after that, we can't visit for a while because Dad might need a surgery." I snapped and told her that I would not and could not plan the birth of my child around their schedule and that they shouldn't bother coming. They haven't even asked my partner or I if we even want extended family present directly after birth. We don't. I was so scared about the birth and was starting to feel somewhat comfortable with the idea of it all when my mom started making these comments. Every time I've told her that I'm upset about their comments or their lack of normal, healthy support, my mom has told me that I'm just hormonal and that everyone else has their own thing going on. I'm so sick of their crap and ready to cut them off for some time. I feel like they've made the birth of my little girl all about them. They've compared the potential surgery my dad might need to my birth, talking about catheters and IV drips like I won't need a similar setup, particularly if I go down the C-section route. When they did come to visit earlier in the year, they made comments about what I was eating. I was 24 weeks pregnant at that point. One of my unhealthy options was a few chocolates after dinner. I don't even know what to say or do. All of this has made me reflect on my childhood, and I can't help but feel sad about that too. Well, I think OP should not tell her mom when the baby is born. She should wait until a couple of days after. It's crazy when you think that she wants OP to be in more pain and have a longer recovery for her convenience. Twerkette says, "As a mama ready to pop just like you, it's time to cut them off. It's your body and your birth, and they have chosen to be selfish and disrespectful of your wishes. This will extend to ignoring wishes like don't kiss the baby or what not to feed them. You need to put your foot down. You are not being over-emotional. You don't owe your parents anything. And you need to ensure that first and foremost, you and baby are healthy. That includes mentally. If you can't handle no contact, go low contact. But you are going to have a beautiful baby to focus on soon and don't deserve this disrespect." Mountain Girl 60 says, "Given that your mother is not your OBGYN, you need to tell her that. And tell her that you'll be following medical advice, not sideshow advice. And honestly, a C-section is a major surgery. Any kind of surgery runs the risk of complications and dying. So there are no doctors out there that are doing unwarranted C-sections. Get your mother to shut up. I would literally lie to her face. I would tell her that I had already talked to my doctor about this and have been told that there is no way I will be having a C-section unless it is medically warranted." I'm generally very kind and non-confrontational and have tried my hardest to let a lot of the things she has done go. I'm fully aware that a lot of the things that happened in this situation are because of what we allowed, but please understand we were 22 and very desperate. Regardless, this is my last straw, and I'm seeing red at the moment. My mother-in-law is straight from hell. She has completely lost her mind, to the point where we had to leave the state to get away from her. For context, I've been dating my boyfriend for 5 years. About 3.5 years in, I find out I was pregnant, and we were living in a one-bedroom apartment in my college town that I had just graduated from. Boyfriend's family is from this town. I'm from another state. My mother-in-law said she and her husband were moving for a travel nurse position and asked if we wanted to move into the home, so we had space for the baby. She promised to fix it up, renovate, get rid of her 8 dogs, and have professional cleaners come in to make sure it was safe for the baby, and pregnant me, of course. We trusted her, and although she was charging us an insane amount of money for a random town in the middle of Alabama, we were desperate for more space and knew we didn't have enough established credit to get anything. Agreeing to this was the biggest mistake I had ever made. She took complete advantage of us and never told us she lost her travel nurse job 2 months in and was broke. When we moved in, the house was filthy, dog and cat feces and urine everywhere. She left 4 of her dogs on the property and a pig for us to care for, flies in the fridge, carpets stained with dog crap, mold covering the walls where she had previously covered with pictures and furniture, maggots in the kitchen, and other stuff I can't even say without becoming sick. A complete safety hazard, especially for a baby. We were stuck and realized the mistake we made. But my boyfriend was very firm with her, saying she needs to pay to have this fixed. She threatened us and told us she'd press charges if we backed out of the arrangement with her. We had no guidance and stayed in fear. She then started charging us for bills that didn't exist and upcharging bills that did. I found that out 4 months in when some of the bills got sent to the house in my boyfriend's name. For the months I Venmo'd her, the bills were $200 to $500 less than what she told me. I asked her for proof of the other bills, and she would ignore me for days. We would pay bills, and weeks later get letters that things were getting shut off due to no payment. She pocketed all of our money. One day, I was 8 months pregnant, super uncomfortable, and sick from how gross the house was. Her and her husband randomly walked in and told us they'd now be staying with us now. I cried my eyes out, considering I had been paying her mortgage for 6 months, and she still expected us to still pay her bills while they lived there. All my furniture was in the house, and they slept in our beds. We had nowhere to go, and I was about to give birth. They knew exactly what they were doing. When my boyfriend flipped out on them, they called him a disgusting son and had his siblings harass him through texts for weeks. I finally had enough, and we quit our jobs with a 1-month-old baby and moved to my home state with my amazing parents that have helped us recover from this situation. Fast forward, we're doing amazing, although I will never forget the stress they put me through during my pregnancy. His mom reaches out constantly, sends letters, email, makes fake accounts to call us disgusting people for not letting her see her grandson. She even texted me that my boyfriend told her he never wanted our son. To wrap this up, even though she's done 10,000 more horrible things to us that I won't ramble on about in this post, she sent me an email tonight from her younger son's email account. The email read, "Hey, this is hellish mother-in-law. Just got this letter addressed to you. The date showed it was from 2 weeks before, and accidentally got a bit of water on it, so I thought I'd open it to dry it out. It's no one's business, but this looks bad, and you wouldn't want this getting in the wrong hands if you know what I mean. Thinking of you during this time." Then she sent photos she took of her phone of all the pages. This letter was from my attorney about a civil case I'm currently dealing with. It shows all my personal court dates, all my financial information, all of my testimonies, my banking information, my evidence, my argument. Literally everything in my case was printed out and sent to me to review before court. It's a felony offense, and I am seconds away from using this as my way to see her finally be held accountable for something. She incriminated herself, and my attorney said I have a good case to get her charged for felony mail tampering. She would be arrested by morning. I know it sounds bad, but I want to do it so bad. My boyfriend said to sleep on it, but that he would support me either way. Please give me some advice, and any questions you have, let me know. Una Therapista says, "Karma is a B. Go for it." Random Guy says Bro says, "She is awful because people allow her to be awful. For whatever reason, be it fear or manipulation, she has never faced any consequences for her actions. She conned you, extorted money, and defrauded you. No consequences. She's been harassing and being aggressive to your boyfriend. No consequences. Now, she's stolen and damaged your mail, and your boyfriend thinks you should sleep on it. Again, no consequences." Gemini Speak 75 says, "Please, put freezes on your credit reports and notify your bank. Make sure you have a copy of the email. Let your attorney know what happened. Always change your address when you move, and put it in a P.O. box until you get settled somewhere. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She deserves the lawsuit.